Yeah. Now we'll continue with the verses 38. Now this is slightly, the focus is shifting. That's why I gave a break at 37. Now Krishna tells Arjuna, he told him to get up and fight. But what did you state of mind to fight? How should you fight? What with state of mind? Sukha dukkhe same krutva
सुखदुःखे समे कृत्वा
labha alabha jaya ajaya.
लाभ अलाभ जय अजय.
I've given the breakup only to make you understand there are two words are there. Labha, labho means labhamu, alabhamu. Jaya, jaya means jaya, ajaya. Ajaya means vijaya, opposite of jaya, that is victory and defeat. Sukha dukkhe same krutva
सुखदुःखे समे कृत्वा
labha, labho jaya, jayo.
लाभ लाभौ जय जयौ.
Tato yuddhaya yujjasva
ततो युद्धाय युज्यस्व
na evam papam avapsyasi.
अनैवं पापम् अवाप्स्यसि.
Bring together. Naivam papam avapsyasi.
नैवं पापम् अवाप्स्यसि.
Sukha dukkhe same krutva
सुखदुःखे समे कृत्वा
labha labho jaya jayo.
लाभ लाभौ जय जयौ.
Tato yuddhaya yujjasva
ततो युद्धाय युज्यस्व
evam papam avapsyasi.
नैवं पापमवाप्स्यसि.
Now, Krishna has told Arjuna that you have to perform your duty. The entire the word papa, papam, sin, is repeated many times. The reason is Arjuna's entire Vishada Yoga, he was worrying that he will incur sin by fighting the battle, and then in the process, if he has to harm and kill lot of persons on the opposite side, or many people on his own side will also die in the battle, he felt he will incur lot of sin. So Krishna is told him in the previous verse that you will incur sin not because of fighting a war, but for not fighting a righteous war. So Krishna drew a distinction between a righteous war and an unrighteous war. Fighting in a righteous war, Krishna says you will get kirti, you will not get sin, but you will get punya. That's what Krishna says. But now a doubt will come. Why fighting a war? By harming some people, somebody is killed. How do they get punya? So Krishna is telling, okay, I told you to fight a righteous battle, but there are some conditions, like a fine print. No, everything, every offer has a fine print. There's a fine print. The fine print is you have to fight. Maybe you'll have to fight. Maybe people will be killed on the opposite side. But your state of mind should be, you should treat alike. Same krutva, treat alike. Jaya and ajaya. Victory and defeat. Labha, alabha. Gain and loss. Sukha, dukkha. Pleasure and pains. So if you are focusing on fighting only for victory, only for pleasure, only for getting gain, that is wrong. That is egocentric, selfish interest. So you don't focus on that. You don't worry about victory or defeat. You don't worry about whether gaining or losing. You don't worry whether you're getting pleasure or pain. You do your righteous duty to the best of your ability for a righteous cause. In the process, if something negative happens, then you don't incur sin. This is what Krishna is telling. After treating alike victory and defeat, gain and loss, pleasure and these are the opposites, and thus getting ready for a righteous battle, no sin is incurred. Krishna is telling very, very categorically. So Arjuna's main worry was that he will incur sin by fighting the war. Krishna said categorically, as mentioned in verse 2.33, that on the contrary, not question of forgetting or incur sin, forget about it. On the contrary, Arjuna will incur sin by not fighting the righteous war. Now, Krishna is reiterating the same point in this verse by saying that Arjuna will not incur any sin by fighting a righteous war, because action per se is not right or wrong. It is the way you perform it. So, wrongful action, now you can go a step further to understand what is sin. A person who keeps on doing wrong actions or act what you call desire ridden actions, vasana, it lead to further birth and it becomes an obstacle for getting liberation and moksha. So that is why gathering of vasanas is considered sinful. Whereas if you pursue a rightful action, what is called nishkama karma, desireless action, if we perform that, it purifies our personalities. It wipes away all our old accounts. So right actions are those which are directed for a higher ideal, your noble ideal, a high ideal, no ego, no egocentric desires. Such action will lead to getting punya, not papa. So that is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Krishna is not encouraging violence. Where the people accuse Krishna of encouraging violence and killing. No, he's not doing that. He is only telling Arjuna, if you fight a righteous war for a right purpose with no self-interest, no fear of profit or a loss, in that case, you will not incur sin. It becomes a nishkama karma and you will be freed from past sins. This is what Krishna is telling him. That's why you say. Now you can see here, these three are at three different levels. So those who fight without a higher goal in life are bogged down by, now you can see the examples why they are given. Why they are given three sets of examples. Profit or loss is related to material issue. It's concerned with our body. Pleasure and pain is an emotional issue concerning with your mind. Success and failure is an intellectual issue. It deals with your intellect. So Krishna is explaining this, giving example as if just like random examples. They are not random examples. So they are given with a particular purpose. He addresses three levels. So those who strive for a higher goal, like social and national welfare, good of their organization, community, humanity. Suppose tomorrow Pranam elections are going to take place. Now people are contesting. Why they are contesting? If these people are contesting for their ego and to make some profits, that is a simple action. But if they are prepared to serve the colony, serve the pranamites, work sincerely, spend their time, effort, maybe money, etc., for others' benefit, so it is a punya. So that's why he says higher goal can be anything. It can be service to community, service to humanity, service to your own organization. Suppose I'm working in a railway organization. You work not only for salary, but okay, good for my organization, good for my customers, you better safety, better security, better punctuality. So every employee is doing a noble job. So this is what Krishna tries to tell them. So this is the running theme of Bhagavad Gita. Rise above dualities, overcome ego and egocentric desires. So that's why I said it is what is called a nishkama karma. Perform your duty without worrying unduly about the results. So nishkama karma is the watchword, is what Krishna is telling. Now he says, all that I have told you so far is not my wisdom. It is there in a Sankhya Yoga. Krishna is quoting. Krishna himself is telling, no, not I am told, not my creativity. It is already there in Sankhya Yoga. This is what I have told you. He's telling Arjuna. Esha, Esha, te abhihita Sankhye.
Esha te abhihita sankhye
Dihi yoge tu imam sruno.
buddhi yoge primam srunu.
So Krishna said, so what I have told you so far is Sankhya Yoga. Now I will tell you about Karma Yoga. Nishkama Karma, the word he has not used so far, but in the subsequent verses, he will talk of a Nishkama Yoga, Karma, that is Karma Yoga. He says, by using this Karma Yoga, you will be able to get moksha. You will be able to break the bonds of action. Esha te abhihita Sankhye.
Yesha te abhihita sankhye.
I mean, this wisdom I have told you so far is Sankhya Yoga. Buddhi yoge tumam srunu.
Buddhir yoge trimam srunu.
Yoga means Krishna Karma Yoga. Now you listen about Karma Yoga, I will tell you. He says, Buddhya yukto yaya partha.
Buddhya yukto yaya partha.
To discharge duties, having Karma Yoga in mind, Karma Bandham prahasyasi.
Karma bandham prahasyasi.
You will be able to break the chain of birth and death. This chain of a birth and death is what is called a Karma Bandham. Karma leads to Punarjanma. Punarjanma leads to more action. If you don't do Nishkama Karma, you will incur more Karma Phala. More Karma Phala means more birth. So this is a bondage. You can break out the bond by doing Nishkama Karma. That's what Krishna says. Esha te bihita Sankhe.
Yesha te vihita sankhye.
Thir yoge tvimam sunu.
Buddhir yoge trimam srunu.
Buddhya yukto yaya partha.
Buddhya yukto yaya partha.
Karma bandham prahasyasi.
Karma bandham prahasyasi.
Hey Partha, thus declared to you so far is wisdom of Sankhya Yoga. Now listen to this knowledge in the context of Karma Yoga. Because you are a man of action. I don't want you to renounce and go to a forest and do tapasya. I want you to continue in the field of action and perform your duty. So in this context of Karma Yoga, path of action, how this Jnana Yoga can be used, I will tell you. Based on this, the bonds of action can be broken. You will be able to break this. Sankhya means logical thoughts, arriving at a rational conclusion. Now that is why Krishna's took out 11 to 30, what is talked of, the difference between the Deha and the Dehi, the ephemeral body and the eternal being. The difference between Indriyas and the Atma, senses and the soul. The difference between the changing and destructible nature of the unreal, which is called Asat, and the unchanging, the indestructible nature of Sat. So Krishna has told, I have explained to you so far, difference between Deha and Dehi, Indriyas, Jnanendriya, Karma Indriya, and the Atma, Paramatma, soul. And also I have to explain to you difference between what is Asat and what is Sat. What is destructible and changing, what is indestructible and unchanging. All this is called Sankhya Yoga. Now Krishna is telling, I will prepare you for Karma Yoga. I will give you the path of action. Actually, this continues in subsequent chapters also. Next chapter is Karma Yoga. Then it's called Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So all this related to Karma. That's why the chapters 1 to 6 is called Karma Kanda. Karma Shatkam. 6 chapters dealing with Karma action. Okay. So the path of action helps us to perform the right type of action with the right frame of mind. It helps us to exhaust our vasanas, which are actually inherent tendencies, and liberate us from our own self-created bondage. Nobody has given the bondage. We are inviting the bondage. It is for us to break out of the bondage. This is what Krishna is telling. Esha te bihita sankhe.
Esha te vihita sankhye.
Buddhir yoge tvimam srunu.
Buddhir yoge tvimam srunu.
Buddhya yukto yaya partha.
Buddhya yukto yaya partha.
Karma bandham prahasyasi.
Karma bandham prahasyasi.
A lot of people will think Bhagavad Gita is highly complicated. It is philosophical. We cannot understand. We cannot, or it is very, very difficult to follow. I cannot do that. So a lot of people feel so. So Krishna is telling us, don't worry about that. Don't worry. Even if you are not able to do the entire thing, even if you do 1% of that, that is great. You will get a lot of benefit by doing even a small fraction what I am telling you. And in any case, it will never have any negative effect. By doing, not succeeding, or doing incorrectly, by wrongly also, it will not have any adverse effects. Like the COVID vaccine, people, many are afraid of taking because they are worried about side effects. They are worried about that. We don't know good or bad, but it may create complications. So Krishna is assuring this particular vaccine which I am giving you will never lead to any negative side effects. But even if you take a little of this, it will give you tremendous benefit. So you can see this verse. Na iha abhikramanashaga asti.
न इह क्रम अभिक्रमनासोऽस्ति
Na iha abhikramanashaga asti.
न इह अभिक्रमनासोऽस्ति.
Abhikramanasha means our effort will never be wasted. Whatever effort I do is not wasted. Na asti. They will never happen. The situation never come that what you do will be wasted. Pratyavayaha na vidyate.
प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते.
Pratyavaya means undesirable side effect. Exactly what we worried about vaccine. Pratyavayaha na vidyate. Negative effects, side effects will never arise. You just imagine the context. In those days also, they talked of everything was foreseen. Nothing is new. What we heard today in science also, it is contained in Bhagavad Gita. Neha abhikramanashosti.
नेह अभिक्रमणासोऽस्ति न अस्ति.
Abhikramanashosti.
नेह विक्रमणासोऽस्ति.
Nehabhikramanashosti.
नेह विक्रमणासोऽस्ति.
Pratyavayo na vidyate.
प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते.
One verse has 4 sentences. Your action will never be wasted. First part. Na abhikrama nashosti. Your effort will never be wasted. Pratyavayaha na vidyate. There will never be any side effects, negative effects. Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even if you do a little bit of this, it will fear you from a great fear. Great fear means highest fear is for people fear of death. That is mortality. Even that fear will go. That is what Krishna is telling. Neha vikramanashosti.
नेह विक्रमणासोऽस्ति.
Yavayo na vidyate.
प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते.
Alpam api asya dharmasya.
स्वल्पम् अपि अस्य धर्मस्य.
Svalpamapi asya dharmasya.
स्वल्पमपि अस्य धर्मस्य.
Svalpamapyasya dharmasya.
स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य.
Ayate mahato bhayat.
त्रायते महतो भयात्.
Neha vikramanashosti.
नेह विक्रमणासोऽस्ति.
Pratyavayo na vidyate.
प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते.
Alpamapyasya dharmasya.
स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य.
Ayate mahato bhayat.
त्रायते महतो भयात्.
Iha means in this path of action which I am going to tell you, in this karma yoga, which is called path of action, in this path of action, na asti abhikramanashaha. There is no loss of effort. And na vidyate pratyavayaha. There is no question of production of any adverse effect. Asya dharmasya. In this path of karma yoga, swalpam api. Even a little progress. Asya dharmasya swalpam api. Swalpa dharmasya apyasya, what he said. In this path of karma yoga, even little progress, trayate, protects us, frees us from mahataha bhayat, from great fear. The greatest fear is fear of death, fear of birth and death, fear of punarjanma, fear of karma bandham, fear of not getting liberation, moksha. Even that problem is solved for you. This is. So karma yoga, it is what is called path of righteous action. it culminates in, results in, leads you to self-realization. So even if we do not perform this journey, is a path. In this path, ultimately we get self-realization. But suppose I'm not able to reach the destination, if I'm not to complete the journey, effort is not wasted because it will protect you from great fear. You're on the right path. Maybe you'll take over next time. So, but actions performed, actions which will be performed, if they are performed with selfish, egocentric desires. Now, actions are of three types. Action can be with selfish and egocentric desire, or slightly better is action performed with unselfish desire. But the best one is action performed with no desire. If you perform without any sankalpa, you perform without any desire whatsoever, do because it is to be done. Do your job because it must be done, not because of expecting any result, not any desire, not even a name and fame. If you do that, then it is called a nishkama karma. So karma yoga are actions. We are free from all desires and expectations. Actions performed with a total sense of detachment. So a person who performs like this is called a karma yogi. He is free from all fears related to human existence. So what is the method of doing this? Let our mind be fixed on some unselfish goal in life, freed from anxiety about results. So then naturally we get more energy, we have better capacity to work, and quality of work actually improves. So this is what is mentioned here. So we conclude this verse 40. Okay.